welcome back to our CEO.CA users. My name is Amrit Gill, and we are at PDAC in Toronto, the world's premier mineral exploration and mining convention. Lots of information to break down, and that's why I have some friends on stage with me. I'm joined by Will Love, VP of Exploration at New Break Resources, and Michael Farron, President and CEO. How are you both doing today?
Fantastic. It's great to be back.
Well, let's get into this. You IPO'd in September 22 during very difficult markets. Tell us about that process and what drove that decision and what you've been doing since.
Well, I think the primary reason for going public is when you start a company privately and you take money from investors, ultimately you keep getting asked the question, when are you going public? So it was always a goal of ours, despite market conditions. We chose to go a slightly different route than most folks. We didn't raise money on our IPO. We had the necessary number of shareholders that we put together ourselves, about 200 shareholders. So we did a non-offering prospectus. We got through the process with the Ontario Securities Commission in a relatively short period of time. And I think overall, between legal fees and everything else, it cost us just a little over $100,000. So we did a pretty good job at keeping it efficient, keeping the budget down, going public. And we went public on September 7th on the Canadian Securities Exchange, and we now trade there under the symbol NBRK.
Well, let's get into your 2022 exploration work at the Moray project and the thesis of really pursuing a Young-Davidson gold mineralization model at Moray. Could you both elaborate a little bit?
So Young-Davidson has been very attractive to me as a mining asset for decades, because through fellow geologists, I've been aware for a long time that the even going back to the drill side of when they were drilling off the resource, that because the nature of the host rock, which is a syenite, which is like a granite, it's a very desirable gold mine now, because you can mine much lower grades underground than you can in gold mines that are hosted in mafic or ultramafic rocks. So it's now under Alamos doing extremely well, and they're generating over 100 million a year in free cash flow, and they're mining underground sort of 2 to 2.3 grams per ton gold. So with that in mind, and I've been aware of the Moray property for probably 15 years, because I was a shareholder of a company that previously held the property. So I was pretty familiar with the prior exploration, and there were sort of two principal reasons why we went after Moray. One is that there has been exploration that's found gold in the syenite. And the other thing that's of interest is it also has nickel-bearing ultramafic rocks. So it has both a gold target and it has nickel, copper, and maybe PG targets. So for a small project, land-wise, it is very diverse geology and mineralization.
Yeah, and I think we've done a number of very good things from a CSG point of view. In addition to having our exploration permit in place, which runs until October 2024, we signed a memorandum of understanding with the First Nations, with both Matagami and Matachewan First Nations, where as we spend money on prescribed exploration activities, we pay a percentage to them. We also made them shareholders in the company and gave them stock options. So we've really placed a priority on making First Nations partners and being good corporate citizens in terms of our exploration.
So what are the next steps in your drilling program, and when can investors expect to hear updates?
Okay, well, we basically have done virtually everything that one can do on the ground in terms of surface work. We've stripped in two principal areas. One is it's right on the contact between the mafic volcanics and the syenite, and we've identified quite a significant structure that's gold bearing that we've now stripped to the maximum that we can, and we've sampled, and we've done a lot of we've had structural geologist for Moray Geoscience. He's done a lot of work. So we've done as much as we can. And this particular target is untested. It's never been drilled before, so it's brand new. So we have that target, and we have another target that's in the syenite where we've done the same thing. We've done the maximum amount of surface work that one can do, and they're both now ready to drill.
Can you outline your projects in the Kivalliq region in Nunavut? What attracted you to that area, and what does exploration look like there?
I was attracted to Nunavut because of a prospector, Ken Redding, who's I'm going to see on Tuesday, actually. He's 92, and he's still going strong. And I met Ken in 1982 at Hemlo. And Hemlo, for sort of older viewers, was quite a significant gold discovery just north of Lake Superior. And Ken was part of the group. So there were some very famous Canadian mining legends that were involved with us, with John Larch and Don McKinnon, who both passed away. But they were the original prospectors at Hemlo. And I was there, I was a very young geologist. And anyway, I was there when it happened. And it wasn't because of me, but I was there. So Ken, we've had a long association together, and he approached me probably 2014 about a project in southern Nunavut called Sundog. And he had discovered the project in 1986. And, in Nunavut, it's a lot more difficult and costly to do mineral exploration than Northern Ontario. So he's done a huge amount of work, with very minimal assistance. And his data, his rock slabs and thin sections, and he's a self-taught geologist. He's quite amazing. So we bought all of his data, and what attracted me to it, and he knew that I'd be attracted to it because of Hemlo, because there's a lot of gold. I mean, it's really simple. And he's identified a whole series of gold-bearing vein structures, and there was a lot, of course, visible gold. So it's a bit different than the normal Nunavut project, which is our information hosted. This is more like something in Timmins or Val-d'Or or Kirkland Lake. It has certain signatures that you associate it with potentially big deposits. So he convinced me, and I convinced my partners, and he's since been very actively involved. And I get a letter from him. He doesn't do computers very well. So I get a letter from him practically every day describing what I'm doing right or what I'm doing wrong. So he's the reason we're in Nunavut.
Yeah, and Ken is a pretty impressive guy. He's really, when you go back through it, credited with discovering Agnico Eagle's Meladine deposit, which is now their flagship mine in Nunavut. We also signed a mineral exploration agreement with the Inuit, as Sundog is on Inuit-owned land. And one of the other things we took the opportunity to do is the Canadian government moved to an online staking format for claims on federal ground in Nunavut in January 2021. So we did a bunch of work leading up to that to identify ground that was very prospective, that had good past exploration work. And we targeted that for staking. And then when online staking came into being, we staked a bunch of other ground in Nunavut. So our Sundog property is about 9,400 hectares, and the rest of the claims we staked are about 22,000 hectares. The other thing I think that we're really excited about in Nunavut, in addition to being located in Kivalliq region, where Agnico Eagle has their two large mines, Meladine and Meadowbank, B2 Gold recently announced its takeover of Sabina Gold and Silver, which will bring another significant player into the region. And for juniors like us exploring for the next big deposit, we're ultimately looking to get bought out by somebody. And when Agnico Eagle's the only game in town, you're kind of beholden to their schedule. But when another big player comes on the scene, competition's always good for guys like us.
So what sets your company apart? Let's talk a little bit about the people, from the management to those who advise you, to the board. What helps you guys deliver that secret sauce for success?
Yeah, I think there's a few different things. When you look across the spectrum of junior companies, certainly not all of the companies are alike in terms of their management teams, their boards, their advisors, and their people. From the management team perspective, I spent my first decade in the business, 6 years with Barrick, and the next part of the decade with Kinross in senior financial positions. And so I learned best practices from the big companies, and I think I've tried to bring that into everything I do in the junior space. Bill Love is a tremendous geologist, and as he mentioned, was part of the Hemlo discovery team. On the board, Ashley Kirwan is one of our directors. She's the co-founder, president, CEO of Oryx Geoscience, and really regarded in the industry as one of the top 40 under 40. So she brings a tremendous amount of expertise to bear on both the technical side and the corporate governance side. Andrew Malum, our chairman, former founder of Lion Mining Finance, which financed the construction of a couple gold mines in British Columbia. He later sold the finance company and did pretty well doing so. He's based out of London, England. Another one of our directors, Thomas Poopendal's in the capital market space, based out of London. So we've got an extremely strong board in that regard. On the advisor side, as Bill mentioned, Ken Redding has a tremendous history of being one of Canada's best geologists or prospectors, and he's an advisor to us, as well as Gord Morrison, who is not only advisor but also a large shareholder. Gord was part of 13 discovery teams, which he either led or was part of, and 6 or 7 of those discoveries are now mines. John Todd, former Minister of Finance and Mines in the Northwest Territories, and a gentleman that was partly responsible for the creation of Nunavut. He's an advisor to us on the government side of things. And then we've got Oryx as geological partners, and Exiro, who we bought the Moray property from. They're a large shareholder, owning about 6% of the company. So we've got a wonderful group of people that we work with. We're very excited about moving on to drilling at Moray and exploring our properties in Nunavut. And we think that offers us a competitive advantage over most of our peers and is a compelling reason for investors to take a look at Newbreak.
Can you share your current cash position and any imminent financing plans that you may have?
Yeah, I think from a cash point of view, like any junior out there, you know, for the company to move forward, we're always in need of raising money. We will need to raise some money to run the drilling program at Moray and to continue with our exploration efforts in Nunavut. One of the things we're very proud of as a private company, we were granted or given a grant of $200,000 by the Ontario government under the Ontario Junior Exploration Program last year. We spent that money at Moray. We're still due to receive a reimbursement from the Ontario government of $140,000. So we're waiting for that. So we do have some plans to do some financing to move things forward, but we've been successful so far in doing so, and we've got a great group of shareholders who supported the company.
Well, it's day one of the convention, a couple of days left. What are you hoping to get out of the rest of the days that lie ahead?
Yeah, I think this is the first PDAC that's back in March since 2020. It was great having it in June last year, but I think this is back to people's normal expectations. We're looking really forward to just walking around, and we've got some meetings set up. Talking to people within the industry. This is really the lifeblood of the industry, bringing people together, and that's how companies and projects really get advanced, and you meet some great folks, bring in some new investors, and really looking forward to that.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell investors?
Stay tuned.
Yeah, I would say take a look at our website, newbreakresources.ca. You know, if you're interested in investing in the company, there's 2 ways to do it. Either buy some stock on the market, NBRK on the CSE. We will be doing a financing, and you're always welcome to contact us. Contact information is on the website, and we're happy to accommodate you.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Will and Michael. Take care.
Thanks very much.